Hi.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We apologize for being a few minutes late, but greatness sometimes takes time, right? My name is Kelly Abanda, and I'm here with Rachel, and we are part of this collaborative called the Work From Home Collaborative. And it's this amazing group of experts who have come together from across the country because, look, we fully understand that you are feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, and you have all these new expectations because you're working from home, and you're not even sure that you're going to be able to get through it. And so we've put together a ton of resources, part of that being these lives that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And so we're here today with Rachel, and we're going to talk about how can you avoid burnout. Mm-hmm. I mean, raise your hand if you have been feeling burnout, right? Like, this is so perfectly timed for me too, because today especially I was feeling like frantic and stressed out and like, oh my gosh, this is so perfectly timed. So really happy to have you here, Rachel. Before we get into hearing more about you and your background and how you came to be a part of this project, I just want to do some housekeeping. Yep. And so first, if you guys are watching us live, thank you for joining us. We're really excited that you're here, and we want this to be really interactive with you. And so if you please just drop in the chat where you're watching us from. And if you have not done one of these Facebook Lives, there's a program we're using that's called StreamYard. And you should see a little thing that just says like grant StreamYard access at the top of your chat bar. Just click that. It'll take you to another screen, and then right back when you approve it. That helps us know like who is posting so that we can speak directly with you as you type. But we really want you to interact, to ask your own questions, tell us your own stories of how you've been feeling burnt out and where you're stuck, because Rachel is an expert in this area, and she is here today to share those tips and tricks and secrets with you so that you can leave from this live with a set of skills and knowledge and tools that you didn't have before you got here. So let's get started. So Rachel, tell us a little bit more about who you are and how you came to be a part of this Work From Home project. I see Marie Ward says hello. Yes, hi, Marie.
I was tempted to be like, hello and hello. Hello, Marie. I always point to where I think the chat box is, but it doesn't always necessarily stay there.
Right. Just point anywhere, right?
Yeah. Oh, I feel like you're in the South, maybe.
Alpharetta, that's Georgia, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm in South Carolina, so we're not too far apart.
Nice.
So, as Kelly said, I'm Rachel Strivelli, and I used to be a public school teacher years ago. That was where I suffered my burnout experience. And I feel like I know some teachers who have experienced that either currently or in the past. So I taught public school, English, language arts, science, and my background is also environmental education and agriculture. And currently I coach people on living in harmony with the natural world and in harmony with our inner world, because there's a lot going on in there for most of us, especially this time. Yes. And so when I went through burnout, I didn't really know it was happening. I don't even know if it was a thing at that time that people, like, I feel like now it's a term that a lot of people are aware of, but for me, it was 2003, and it was kind of bad. I left teaching for 5 years because I couldn't stand to be in that environment again. And it was like a healing process for me. And so when I heard about this project, one of the reasons I felt so called to come on here was that I know, similar to other things in life, if you can prevent something bad from happening, that's much better than healing from it and recovering from it.
So I think it's worth saying that again.
Yes. So if you can prevent getting burnout, the rewards you will reap and the positive benefit will be so good. Because I kid you not, I went to counseling for a solid year after my burnout experience, and I still then took another 2 or 3 years away from the field that I had been in before I was willing to step back in the classroom again. And it wasn't like, I mean, there are lots of negative things that could cause burnout. And yes, like the experience that happened to me was stressful for me, but it wouldn't make the nightly news or anything, And so that's one of the pieces of this is we all have to know our limits, our boundaries, when we've had enough, or when something is too much, and know when, if it is enough, that it doesn't mean we're weak, that let's change, let's shift, let's do something different.
Yeah. And so I can't tell who this user is. So whoever said this, click on the top to grant StreamYard access, click on the top of the comments, because this is so true. So they said that burnout is talked about in the helping professions. So like in psychology and social work and those kinds of professions, but not really acknowledged, especially for those workers, because there's a lot of workers who are doing the work that get burned out themselves. And I think it's so true. And what you're saying is pure gold, that it really is. It's so much better if we can talk about it and deal with it before it gets to the point. Because when you have trauma that you now have to heal and deal with, when you've hit that wall and you're like, there's just no more to give, there's so many more layers to recovery. And, the season that we're in right now, it's interesting because there's a lot of things that are outside of our control. And so figuring out how do we balance, the things that we can't control and the things that we can, so that we can do our best to avoid burning out. And so I'm curious to hear from you, like, as you've been working with clients in this season, where there's so much out of our control, more than in a normal situation. What are the things that you hear people talking about, and how do you walk them through?
Yes. Well, I know that for me personally, and clients, and even people who aren't working with me, but I give them my thoughts if they're open. All my unpaid coaching clients out there. To some degree, a lot of us are having to lower some expectations, shift how we're doing things. And I feel that many, many people, as much as they are able, are increasing self-care, whatever that means. It's different for different people, but taking more time to really deeply care for ourselves in the best way that we can, or whatever way we can. Some of us in the past might go get a massage or a whatever, a pedicure. They might go for a long walk along the beach. Well, that's not available for everyone right now, or for most of us. And so and that's the other, a little bit tricky part of this whole situation. Some of the things that used to feed our souls, hugs from friends or coworkers, a high-fiving, if you have a coworker, like at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, and sharing cookies with your coworkers or your neighbors. These things, we don't have them right now. And so we're having to, or some of us don't, I know everyone's situation is different. And so we've had to get creative with how can we still nourish our souls, our bodies, our minds. How can we find time to release the emotions that are coming up from these weird, scary, sometimes circumstances, so that it doesn't become too much. And so a lot of the conversations I'll talk about with people, well, here are some things you can do to help relieve stress. Are you doing any of them? Or which ones can we incorporate into your life that you're not doing? And another important thing that I want to say, so I'm not a mental health professional. And so if someone feels like what they're feeling is maybe more than burnout, or even if it is burnout, they may want to seek out help in that way. But what I do know is that in terms of how our body works, when we are in a stressful situation, the body's releasing stress hormones. And if those aren't like released and move through our body, like if we don't do anything about that, it's almost like we're perpetually in fight or flight mode, but we're not designed to be in that hyper vigilant, like, what's going on? I got to react instantly now to what's happening. And so that can cause problems over time if we don't ever release the pressure valve and let go.
Yeah. And I know one of the things you talk a lot about in your course is this stress response cycle and the importance of learning the things that can help you complete that cycle. And so can you share, I know we can't go as in depth as you do in your course because we've got more time there. And you also have really cool resources for people to do, like some exercises at the end in the course. I think it's so cool. But tell us a little bit about that stress response cycle and what it means to complete that.
Yes. So the stress response cycle is one way of thinking about this fight or flight mechanism. So we have a reaction, adrenaline is built up, and if it doesn't go anywhere, it's still in our body kind of acting out its role. Whereas if we do something to release it, do something that moves it out of our body. And again, I'm not a medical professional here, so I don't, even though I read the books, I'm like, all the words of the neurotransmitters, I know that word. I don't know all the other words. Roll off my tongue, but I do have a science background, so I understand it. So if we release it and let the stress melt away, is one way people might think of it, then it's kind of like we're back to square one or ground zero. And then we're like, oh, okay, I can handle the next thing that comes up, or maybe nothing will come up until tomorrow. Yeah. So I take a lot of deep breaths. And that's one big way that can help. And I also think with the things that are happening, some of us might think, I just need to take deep breaths all day long because, right? Like if you watch the news too much, you just better be breathing all the time.
Just keep breathing. Just keep breathing.
Exactly. But so deep breath is a big one that anybody can do, no matter what your budget. However, so usually I find people need to do a few of these things to release your stress, because just one alone, especially in the time we're in, is not enough. Like if you're going to sleep and you're still feeling tension all over and a lot of stress, and you're worrying and you're feeling really anxious, then you probably need to look at your day and think, what can I do differently? And so if you have people who you live with in your home, one of the things is physical contact with those people. So a 20-second hug releases the feel-good hormones, the love hormones, and a 6-second kiss. The other day I got them mixed up and I was trying to kiss my husband for 20 seconds and he was like, what is going on? I have to work. I mean, and I was like, I need the feel-good feelings.
I would totally be in for the 20-second kiss. Yeah. I would totally be in for that. And I can see where that would release a lot of the stress that's built up. Yeah. But I think what's so interesting and fun about what you're saying is that there are a lot of ways, like for the most part, we don't ever think about, we still need to release all of that adrenaline that built up. And there's so many situations these days that would cause people to have that kind of a stress response. Yeah. Where they get tensed up. If you ask most people, where do you feel stress in your body? They'll be able to say like, oh, my shoulders get tense, or my neck gets tense, or I can feel my arms tight. They know if they stop to think about, and all of those things cause what you're saying, right? Like it causes a release of things inside our body, but we just move on usually and think, oh, well, I'm not feeling so like upset right now, so I must be okay. Right. But what you're helping us to see is like, no, there's some more pieces of that if you really want to release that negative stuff out of your body. But the great news is it doesn't have to be something that you have to spend a lot of money on or a lot of time, or, the deep breaths. If you're living with people that you can hug, what are some other ways that people can, without spending a lot of money or time, start to release that? Yes.
So I'm a big nature person. I love being out in nature. Right now I'm out here, so the people inside aren't making noise. Because the kids don't, this isn't their priority.
Yeah, of course not. They're like, Mom, are you watching TV? No, you're on something? What are you doing? What are you doing?
They'll just want to show us their coloring pictures they colored and all that.
Yeah.
But so yesterday, for example, I was having a kind of a rough day. I hadn't gotten good sleep, and I was watching my children, and I couldn't just be like, "Hey, you two, go play by yourselves for 2 hours," because they're small. And I thought, what can I do? My daughter and I laid on the porch out here, right out from where I was. My son was still running around us, but that was okay. We just watched clouds for like 20 minutes. And actually, after a while, there weren't even any clouds. And I was just looking at the trees. And so I was taking the deep breaths. I was looking at the trees and I was thinking, I'm okay. Like the trees have been here for a long time. I was feeling connected to everything around me. And the rest of the afternoon, I felt so amazing. But up until that point, I kept on thinking about how tired I was. I couldn't stop thinking about when bedtime was coming. I was very cranky. So I know for me, I'm really good now about not getting to the burnout stage, but I might release my fuse in other ways. You know, I might yell at my loved ones, and I don't want to do that. So I try and be aware before that happens. What can I do that's good for me to release it? And let's see, should I give any other?
Yeah, if you've got a couple of other, like I'm thinking, okay, so I'm single. I'm living in a city where, like, I'm thinking, like, if I was back in Los Angeles, like parks are closed, beaches are closed.
Exactly.
I'm in an urban area, so there's not a lot of nature I can go like spend time in.
Yes.
What are some other things I might do?
Good. I'm glad you asked that question. So one little caveat I will say, if you can see the sky, even if it's not like the prettiest view ever, I really do feel like, and just do this as an experiment. If you've never done this before, just try it out and see. Take a week, take 5 minutes every day and look out the window and just see, does it help? And if it doesn't, you can be like, well, Rachel didn't know what she was talking about, or she needs to see the view out of my window. So anyway, I will say, like, whatever you have for nature, I mean, the vegetables in our fridge, if you have access to vegetables, they are natural things that grew. So take some time. And one of the courses I'm excited to delve into is all about cooking with what you have in the kitchen. And, you know, this is a time for us to get creative. And the other, so then my lead into that is creative expression is very restorative for people. So, and that can be a whole range of things. It does not have to mean creating art. Anything that is you making something that wasn't there before, that is you like using your mind, and also some type of creative artistic thing is relieving of stress. So it could be making a meal is creative. It could be painting a picture, writing a poem. But it doesn't have to be these stereotypical creative things. When I work in my garden, like the design of the garden to me is creative. Rearranging your furniture is kind of creative.
Yeah. Anything that's switching it up. I love the way you said that, making anything that wasn't there before you're creating. I think that's a great way to say it too, because there are a lot of people, like if you are artistic, you think of yourself as creative. But there are so many more people who, we all have creativity built in us, but a lot of people doubt it because they're like, well, I'm not an artist. So I'm not creative, and that's so not right. Like you might not be an artist, but you still possess creativity and the ability to think about something in a new way, to do something in a new way. And even things like, okay, so you go out for a walk every day now at 1:00, maybe take a different route, go a different way, and look for something you didn't notice the day before. That's engaging that creative part of your mind where you're looking for something new that you didn't think about before.
Yes. And so here's another thing. If you're in a place where you can't do a lot of outside activity, there's not a lot of beautiful nature there. So in terms of like brain psychology, if we see somebody else doing something, the mirror neurons in our brain light up and kind of want to react to that and reflect that. And so I have noticed, so I since the quarantine, I was thinking about going on TikTok and I hadn't yet. And then quarantine happened, and I was like, fine. I'm like, I'm going to do it and see what it's like and just have fun. And it has been so much fun seeing all the dancing people are doing. And some of these people, like you and I, like they're not going out to clubs. They're not, it's people dancing in their living room, in their kitchen, in their driveway. And it seems like every day there's a new challenge on that app. There's they do a dance to this song in this way in their kitchen. And so just seeing the creativity of other people fills me with hope, new ideas. It makes me think, I wish I had 2 hours to do a dance routine today, but I don't. I'm going to watch this person's cool dance that they did. And I feel like it really is, it's fueling my hope and excitement of seeing other people doing new things. And I feel like even though there are a lot of weird things happening and that we don't know what's happening next and there's uncertainty, there are also some cool things happening too that I'm trying to notice. And I really love seeing what other people do with their minds and creating new things. And so like there are a few courses in this that are about creativity. And I really encourage folks, even if you think you're not creative, who's going to know if you take 30 minutes a day for the next however long we're doing this for, and you dabble around? Nobody ever has to know.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And there's so much freedom in just allowing ourselves to explore new things. And one of the things about the reason we created this work from home bundle to be online courses that are accessible 24/7 is because we all work on different cycles. Maybe you're a morning learner, you're a night learner, you are doing things at different hours. Like you can go access courses whenever it works for you. And you can take the ones that appeal to you. You can leave the rest. You can go back and retake something. But absolutely, there's courses in there about painting. And nobody ever has to see your painting. But if you are lacking some creative outlet, then just go try it. Like what do you have to lose? There's really nothing to lose, only things to gain. Because in this season, there's so many things we can't control. There's so much information that we need to learn, but we don't know where to go. That's the other reason we wanted to put so much in one place for people. So you don't have to do a bunch of different YouTube searches. You don't have to try to figure out like, where can I find an expert in this? Like we just put it all together for you. So one less thing to stress about. You make one payment. Now you got access to everything that's there, everything we're going to keep adding, and boom, like, let's just make it easy for people. And we're really excited about that. So before we're done, we'll talk about how people can access that. Especially we want you to know the price that we're offering it at today is going away at the end of this month, which is less than 2 weeks away. Crazy to think it's going to be May.
I really believe that May is almost here.
So
even though I'm excited.
Yes, no, it's crazy. It's crazy how far time goes. But before we get there, I want to come back just to one thing to help our viewers who are. So we've talked a little bit about the importance. So what you were talking about is recognizing that you may be going toward that place of burnout, that you recognize what's happening inside your body and you do things to help release that negative stuff so that it doesn't build up to the point of, you know what, I'm just done. I have nothing left. So now I want to back it up just a little bit because you talked at the top about how important it is that we try to prevent ever getting there. And I know in the course you go into more depth on this, but can you just talk a little bit, like just really briefly about how can somebody who's feeling a lot of pressure right now, so say, for example, they've been forced to work from home and now they're homeschooling. So there's expectations from their boss, there's expectations from their school, and it's feeling really overwhelming and they don't know, how do I even figure out what the right boundaries are so that I can possibly avoid burnout? Because the only thing I see right now is I can't do this.
Right. Yes. And I know that is a very real place that some people are feeling. And unfortunately, even though some people may have the luxury, if I want to use that word, of doing things in the evening just for fun. There are some people who are like, I lay in bed exhausted every evening because at the end of the day and the next day is the same thing. And so that is real. And I know in my household, one of the things we have done is we really looked at what are the most important things that are kind of like our bare minimum foundation bedrock. What are our values that no matter what, we always try to adhere to? And so if we have those covered, then we can add on other things, but that's where we start. And for me and my husband, we both have some that are different and some that overlap. Like the family ones and our relationship ones overlap, but each of us, our business and work ones, are different. And so, oh, hi, Raina. And so I think, and it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to go into this deep values evaluation of, I mean, you could if you want to. And when you have time for stuff like that, it's super cool to do. But like in my household, we figured out, okay, everybody needs to be fed. We all need to get as much sleep as we can. And we want to treat each other the best that we can, but also knowing that things like I told my daughter today, I'm sorry, I yell at you sometimes. I still love you. You yell at me sometimes. Like, we're all going through a weird time. Let's try and be kinder if we can. And so like we figured out what are our bare minimums, and then everything else beyond that is kind of a nice to have. But if it doesn't happen, we're not going to worry about it. So like in my household right now, I'm not pushing the school thing as much as I should, or not should, as much as other people might want me to. I'm choosing not to. And part of it is I know in the grand scheme of things, it'll be okay. And I've talked to my daughter's teacher and pretty much said, like, we're going to do what we can, and kind of let me know what's the bare minimum we can do and not have you hounding us. And she was totally okay with that. But I have heard of other teachers who are giving out more work than they did before school began. And I think if you have a way to connect with your child's teacher, which most of us do in these days, then I would say reach out to them and be like, look, it is a struggle. And I understand if the administration at the school wants things a certain way, but this is what our family is finding that we can do in this time.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they could work with you in some ways.
Yeah.
And you may have to do the same. I mean, at work, that's a whole nother element, but it's a good idea to explore, if you can, opening up the lines of communication with your supervisors or your coworkers or clients, because I think if we can appeal to people's rational, reasonable sides, hopefully they can rise to the occasion. It doesn't always happen, but and one of the big ideas to remember, I think, is we can get through this time. And if, as we go through this time, you are constantly receiving information, either directly or indirectly from your work, that they don't care about you, that they don't care about your happy home life or these other things, then that might not be the best long-term environment for you. And so part of this is you can do what you can do, but sometimes the structures that you're in are not positive environments. When I was in a burnout situation years ago in a certain school system, I had to leave that school. The school wasn't changing, and they acknowledged that there were problems, but they didn't want to change. And so I was like, I'm going to change. I'm going to leave. I leave this environment. And I didn't leave in the middle of the school year. I left at the end when it was appropriate in my values of, like, I finished my contract. But it might be that if this is a really difficult time and the people that you're working with are not working back with you in any way, and you're letting them know that you feel that things are beyond expectations, you might start considering looking for another job in the future. Because I think how they're treating you now is maybe indicative of how they'll treat you in the future. And if you can't find a way to have them work with you, then it's probably not the best for your overall health in the long run.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think this is it's a great time. It's a stressful time to think about those bigger pictures and making shifts, but it actually is such a great opportunity because we get to see like, what are the people that we're working for? What are they actually valuing in this season? And I've seen companies and big and small do things in very different ways to serve their people. And and it's really telling of what their value system is. And so, part of this whole avoiding burnout is figuring out where you can take power back. And part of that, like you've just talked about, it's so important that even if you think it may not go the way that you want, just even trying to have the conversations both with schools and your bosses or your teams, because maybe you're the boss and you're feeling like there's too much going on and, it's hard to, manage all of that. But just try your best to open conversation and be honest about what you really need in this season. And then if you don't get the support that you need, then take the next step of figuring out, okay, how do I handle this now that I know I don't have that support? But don't shy away because you're scared. Don't shy away from trying to have those conversations, because it really, in the end, it's up to us. We can't expect that our bosses or our spouses or our children or our friends or our family are going to know exactly what we need. It's up to us. And for a lot of us, that's a hard, scary move. But in the end, it really is only up to us. And so I know there's so much more we could talk about with this. And I know that if people go into this work from home bundle and take your course, they'll have even more tools to help them process through, like, how do you set your values? And like, you have a great downloadable worksheet that people can go through that helps them process what's happening in their life and how do they figure out how to prioritize things so that they don't burn out. But I am so thankful that you were able to come join us today live and to talk about some of these issues and to give us some tools to think about how do we get ourselves out of that, get us through the stress response cycle. How do we find healthy ways that are free and easily accessible for us to process through all of that? And then how do we start thinking about the changes that we might need or the support we might need that we don't have so that we don't get to burnout. And so thank you for sharing what you've shared. And I just want to talk a little bit about the work from home collaborative project. And we're so excited because, look, we knew when we saw what was happening that so many people, hundreds of thousands of people really, who have never worked from home, were thrown into a situation like not sure what to do. And all the other things are happening at the same time. We can't shop the way we used to. We can't visit the way we used to. We can't do anything how we did it before. And now I'm expected to be successful and contribute at the same level that I've been contributing, but in a brand new environment for my job. And so we said, let's gather resources from experts from across the country to give you a one-stop shop, one place where you can go and take courses at your convenience that are going to help you with things like setting up your home office. If you're living in a small space, how do you make the most of it so that you can live and work without them bleeding into each other all the time? Into things like homeschooling and setting up your kitchen so it's easier to make high quality meals for your family. And how do you set a new schedule? How do you manage your time differently now? How do you take care of your soul? And so that's the part where your courses are coming in too. And we've got other things around stress and how to use meditation to get through stress. There are just so many courses. So we've already got over 30 and there's more coming. And I know you talked about one of the kitchen ones. And then what were some of the other ones that you said that you're excited to go through?
Well, it's funny because there's so many I want to do.
Yes.
And I also feel like I'm kind of a lifelong learner. Even areas that I think I know, I love learning from other people because there's usually a way they do it that I don't do it.
Yeah.
And so I think Nicole has one on time management and productivity. And recently even more. Like I was good-ish before this crisis time hit, and now I'm like, I really need to get much better with my time and just a little bit more focused. And so I'm thinking, okay, that course is probably going to help me.
Yeah.
I want to see the one about relationships. I feel like whatever I can do to improve my relationships, both the ones that now we only talk through Zoom or over the phone right now, but I want to continue to care for the people in my lives and in my life and treat them well. So there's one on that. I think it's aimed at romantic relationships.
So
like
there are a few. So yeah, there's one there's one that's called working from, like when you're both working from home. So like now that you, and it's a really, the couple who, so Jamie and Ross who did that course, they are a couple who have been traveling in their RV together for a few years. And so they know what it's like to be in a small space. And they have worked out how to, they both are running virtual businesses. And so they've figured out how do you navigate that without wanting to kill each other. Right. Just want to say hi. Kimberly said that she's going to come back later, but good to see you. Nice to meet you. But yeah, so that's that one. And then we've got other ones that are one's about how do you connect with your remote team. So if you're working in a team, and then we've got a whole one. So Kiana LaFleur, who is an event planner, she won't say this because she gets too like shy about it, but she's planning events right now for Louis Vuitton. So she's like high up there on the event planning world. But she did a whole course on how do you socially connect virtually. So like how do you do fun things with people who you want to connect with, but you can't get together with physically. So there's lots of fun stuff in that one too. So like all kinds of things. And I agree with you. Like I've had the pleasure of actually watching them because I'm coordinating the whole project. And I'm like, there's so much quality here. I feel so strongly that we've got resources. Like even if you've been working from home for a long time, I've been working from home for a few years, and it's still like so many beneficial things to me and stuff. There's some stuff that I hear it and I go, oh, well, duh. I should have thought of that, but I haven't thought of it. So that's why we've got these resources, right? So we put together all these things. And one of the other big reasons for us to do this as a collaborative effort is because it makes us able to give a lot of content for a lot less money than people would have to pay if they were coming to each of us individually for help. And so all of these courses retail for $4.99, even though their value is well over $2,000, and that's like conservative. So we're retailing for $4.99, but we've got this special only through this month. Do you want to talk about what the special is right now?
Yes. So, okay, so you can get the special, all the courses we've talked about, and more will be coming. I know a little bit about the more coming, but not a whole lot. And there's a link.
I just
you know who I am. I never know where to point. So there's a link. So if you use my coupon, it's only $99, which, okay. So I've started 2 of the courses. I'm not fully done with them yet. And my work from home desk is better than it was a few days ago. And I'm just feeling already more like this is amazing. And I've been working from home for off and on for a decade. And I still feel like I am getting so much value out of this.
Yeah.
And so I really know also the fact that there's creative stuff and kind of the more, I don't want to say serious, but like get your desk set up and then paint when in your free time. It's really nice, Kelly, that you thought to include all of this, because I feel like it has this amazing holistic feel to it, so that if you wanna feel like it's for fun, you can take all the fun ones first, the meditations, and there's so many different people presenting that whatever your learning style is, like if you're like, I don't know about this Rachel person, don't worry, there's a lot of other cool people teaching.
I mean, that's so true. And it really, like, I'm also a lifelong learner. I love seeing how different people teach. And there's something to be learned just by like listening to the way somebody else teaches, even if the information is stuff you already knew, which I promise you, and there's no way you're going to go through all these courses and be like, I knew all of that. I knew everything they had to say. I know it just is impossible because there really is
Mhm.
so much depth and content here. But thank you for saying that about the holistic approach. That was definitely important to me. And there's a full recognition here of this shift to working from home isn't just about being more productive. That's part of it.
Mhm.
And that's the stress that most people are probably feeling because they don't know their new normal. They don't know their new routine yet. But there's so
Mhm.
much more. You're working inside your home, and there's a lot of things
Right.
that need to happen in your home that aren't your work. And so
Yeah.
let's give people some resources around that as well. Because if you can feel like
Mhm.
you're gaining control in these different areas, it makes everything flow better. And then that
Mhm.
soul care, I mean, my profession outside of this is that I'm also a life coach and have had
Mm.
my own life experiences that confirm to me the importance of the reflective, taking care of your soul, taking care of yourself, things like
Mhm.
avoiding burnout, because
Yeah.
you are better for your work, you are better for your home, you are better for yourself if you're taking care of what needs to be taken care of before it hits a point of no return. And so,
Mhm.
listen, don't struggle doing these things by yourself.
Yes.
You don't have to feel anymore like, how am I ever going to get back to a new normal? There's a
Yeah.
whole package of resources. Think of it like having experts on call for you. You can
Mhm.
go take courses anytime. And like you said, you don't have to start and finish. Like if you
Right.
start and you're like, I only have 10 minutes today and I have 10 minutes tomorrow,
Exactly.
go back and watch later. It's fine. It's fine, but you will feel so much more supported if you take advantage of having resources at your fingertips versus just trying to struggle and internalize it all. We just weren't
Yeah.
designed.
Well, and here's the other thing that I had meant to say earlier, but I forgot. Well, so I told all of you that I've been working from home off and on for a decade. But what I didn't say was the first year or two, there weren't people working from home that I knew really. And so it took me a while to figure out what my routine was. How
Yeah.
do I structure things? I would say it took me anywhere from 3 months to a year before I got a good flow. Once I got my flow, I still use some of those same things now. But and that's why I'm curious. Like I want to go in and watch some of the other videos and see, do other people do what I do, or who knows what. But having the ability to hear what other people have done and learn about how to set up your home office, how to set up your routine, how to have, for me, I have to have a very clear, housework doesn't happen during work time. It just doesn't. I don't ever do that. And that's what I had to figure out through my own process of doing it. But I think some of the courses can help you get out of the period of like, I don't know what's happening and I have to do
Yeah.
everything all the time, to hear a few people, here's what they did. Okay, I'll try out that method for a week. If it doesn't work, you try out another method the
Yeah.
next week. And it, like you say, it's really so empowering to have all of these experts to lean on so that we don't have to take 6 months to a year to figure out how to set up
Yeah.
everything in a way that supports us.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to say it. Save your time, save your headache. Listen,
Yes.
there are enough things happening in the world that we literally have no control over.
Yes.
This isn't one of those. Like this is
Mhm.
an area where you can take back control of your calendar, of your life, and feel like you can create a new normal in
Mhm.
spite of everything else that's happening. So take advantage of these tools. Stop beating yourself up because you can't figure it out. You weren't designed to know. None of us were
No.
designed to just know. Like that's why it takes us each time. And so I
Mhm.
love the point of just thinking like, you know what, learn from what we've learned. Everybody who is doing this, by the way, they're not only an expert in the subject that they're talking about, but they're all people who have been working from home. Since before all this happened. So we all know what those struggles are like. And that's how
Mhm.
the content was developed specifically to help people in this last season. So all of this content has been created and recorded in the last like 3 weeks. It is fresh. People
Yeah.
are coming from the lens of knowing that you guys need the support right now. And
Yeah.
so don't,
That's
we
so
can
true.
promise you these are not like things that we've just repackaged because, that we did 7 years ago and just repackaged it. No, like we literally the last few weeks, this has all come together because we knew right now is when people need it. So, so anyway, I mean, think about you guys, like this discussion in these 45 minutes that we've spent. Rachel's course is not even 45 minutes long, but it packs so much in that it's really valuable, along with all the other courses that we've got. And so take a look. The link is also in the description above this live. And if you're watching the replay, it'll be up there as well. So click it. Just remember that it's time sensitive because that link will only get you to $99 through the end of this month. So, and that end of this month is not far away, but you're welcome to go click on it and look around and look at all the courses that are there, because I guarantee you're going to be like how we are and go, oh yeah, that one looks good. Oh, that one looks good too. This one over here looks really good. So take a look and just explore on that page. And we have done something even in addition to making that $99 sale. We have also made it super easy, no brainer for you to say yes. You can choose a three payment plan of $33. So if you,
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So if you are like, at this moment, I just need to have, I need to be able to just break that up. Cool. Break it up. You're waiting for your stimulus money to come in. Cool. Break it up. We put that there. So we just wanted to make it really easy for people to be able to say yes and get in and get those resources right away. Because as soon as you're in, you have access to everything that's there. So take advantage. Anything else that you want to say, Rachel, before we wrap up here?
Well, I was just thinking how you were saying about all the experts, and it's just, as you say, it's like I think about, even though I know a lot of people are money might be tight right now, or even if it's not tight, you're trying to be like, I need to use my resources the most wisely that I can, which I always value doing because, we want to be good stewards of our resources. And we also need to think, what is the best way for me to use my resources for me right now, knowing that, you are protecting for the future, but like this $33 payment, that's amazing. It makes it so doable, and it allows you to take what you need and just work with it right now. And then 2 weeks from now, you take the next course that's helpful. Or I'm doing one every few days. And like I said, doing it in little chunks because that's how my schedule works right now. But it's already having such nice effects, and it's amazing. I'm in awe of it all.
Yeah, it really came together so well, and I'm really happy that you're part of the team. And I want to invite anybody who is not yet a part of our Facebook group. We've got a Facebook group called the Work From Home Survive and Thrive Tribe. Head over there, join our community. We're also posting things in there, and you'll find support of other people who are dealing with this as well. So we've got you covered on all those bases. Definitely dive in, get those courses, dive into that so that you've got support in the exact areas that you need that's going in depth. And then come over to that Facebook community just for that extra support of like, listen, you're not alone. It's okay. Sometimes, some days you're going to feel like, whoa. And then other days you're going to be like, I got this. I can help other people. Like that's going to be the cycle of what we're doing. But we have a really great community over there, and really coming from the heart of wanting to serve and support. And so thank you for being one of those amazing people, Rachel. Thanks for being part of this team. And I can't wait to see the impact, as you guys get in and take the classes. Send us success reports and be like, show us a picture of your desk before and after. Tell us like how you're going through the stress response cycle. Like, let us know, because, we're people just like your people. And we love hearing like what's been helpful for you, and also what other resources you might need. So if there's courses that aren't there yet that you want to see, let us know so we can add those in. If anybody has questions about the bundle of courses, you can talk with Rachel, you can talk with me. Definitely head over to the Facebook group and join us there. And then we just can't wait to see you on the inside of the bundle. Was that a plane?
It is. I know. I was trying to think. Can I shield my microphone?
Don't worry. No. I'm glad at least that it was a plane and it wasn't like something else. But anyway, it's totally perfectly. Like we made it through the whole thing without that, so that was great. That was perfect.
Good. That's really good.
But we'll let you get back to your family. I know they're probably drawing things and being like, Mom, you gotta look.
Probably.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you in the Facebook group.
All right. I will be there. Good night, Kelly. Bye,
Good night.
everyone.
Bye.